10 million North Koreans are said to be in urgent need of food. The country claims it's never recorded such little rain, and Pyongyang has demanded all-out efforts to bolster grain production. So there's clearly a pressing need for aid in North Korea, but then when it comes to helping Pyongyang, it never seems to be that straightforward. I'm Alex Jensen for North Korea Now. South Korea did recently decide to donate $8 million to the North via international agencies such as the UN World Food Programme and UNICEF for projects to support the nutrition of children and pregnant women and their health. And how the North reacts could well set the tone for inter-Korean relations going forward. But then there are several other international players to consider in all of this too. For example, China appears to be playing an important role. Pyongyang's old ally was criticized by American President Donald Trump last August for providing North Korea with considerable aid at a time when he obviously wanted to maintain maximum pressure to induce the North's denuclearization. Official data recently revealed China did in fact provide the North with more than $55 million worth of fertilizer between May and October of last year, as well as 1,000 tons of rice last July. We also know a North Korean Red Cross delegation left for China earlier this month, potentially to organize further aid. Just to clarify, humanitarian aid itself doesn't break international sanctions, but certain materials do require UN waivers. Just last month, the UN Security Council had to grant a sanctions exemption to allow UNICEF to improve the health and nutrition of North Koreans. But if China were to support the North too much, and outside of those exemptions, that's where we see concerns about undermining sanctions. And Russia pledged $4 million in aid to North Korea through the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, as we found out at last month's landmark summit between Chairman Kim and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. That's more than half of Russia's total aid via OCHA this year, by the way. As well as economic and geopolitical concerns, the general analysis is that China and Russia don't want to deal with the outcome of a humanitarian catastrophe on their doorstep. But even the US has softened its stance on aid more recently. President Trump himself may not be leading the humanitarian aid charge, but we are told he supported South Korea's plan to offer assistance to the North during phone talks with the South's President Jae-in earlier this month. And it doesn't seem like any of that's been affected by North Korea's return to short-range missile testing. It looks like Japan is the only significant regional player that's not in favor, with Tokyo officials suggesting it's premature to provide the North with aid at a time when it could still abuse such assistance and carry on developing nuclear weapons. And some critics in South Korea would agree. The South hasn't provided any aid to the North since 2015, but the conservative Chosun newspaper poured doubt over how desperate Pyongyang really is this week, claiming North Korea imported more cigarettes and fruit than essential food from China in the first quarter of this year. Another trend that's raised skepticism is the price of rice in North Korean open-air markets, apparently falling significantly since the end of last year. And conservatives accuse Moon of seeking political gains. Now, it's not a secret that President Moon is hoping humanitarian aid can help create a mood for dialogue. But then we also have the UN World Food Programme confirming that millions of vulnerable North Koreans are in urgent need. As South Korean Unification Minister Kim Yeon-chol put it this week, quoting former US President Ronald Reagan, "A hungry child knows no politics."